everybody. Welcome back to Geeky Clinicians Podcast. On this wonderful episode, we have back our friends, Beliza Perez. And, and so we're going to get into this conversation with her in a second. But as always, I am Dr. Deborah Dantzler, Chief Geek here at Geeky Clinicians. And our Geeky Clinicians team is joining me, and they can introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Jacinta. I am lead therapist and lead geek.
Nice.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mona Taki. I am the Geeky Clinical Yogi.
Woohoo!
Yay!
Yay. All right. And as I said, Beliza is back with us. And so I'm just going to read her bio, and then we're going to jump into our conversation. Right. So Beliza has happily served the Central Florida area for over 15 years. She is a Brooklyn, New York native, New York in the house, right? And has lived in Florida for over 25 years. Her passion for helping children, parents, and siblings comes from losing a parent at a young age.
Mhm.
Having no therapy support was hard to deal with at the time. So giving kids a voice and support when life gets hard is important to her. And we're really going to dive into that today because life's kind of hard right now, right? And so she has been a school counselor, a community mental health therapist, has done in-home evaluations, and is the proud owner of Avedo Counseling. And she also serves registered interns seeking licensure in Florida and works with volunteers in her office. Beliza is energized when she helps kids learn to calm down and use tools to feel good. And we'll also talk about some of those tools today that she's developed. And she loves spending time with her active nephew, biking outside and coloring. And am I wrong? Do you have chickens?
We do.
Okay, yeah,
They have taken over a little bit. We do.
Work-life balance is vital to her success. She was recognized as one of the top local school counselors in 2013 and focuses on top-notch services for her clients. Welcome, Beliza.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate being your geeky child guest for the day. Child expert guest. I don't know.
Yes. So, Beliza, when you're here, we talked a little bit about things like your origin story of doing this work. And you mentioned here in your bio as well, when life and the world and things like that are difficult, they're almost exceptionally difficult for the small humans because their meaning making is not necessarily the same as our meaning making.
Yes.
And you mentioned here in your bio about having lost a parent at a young age. And again, we have all these things in common. Not only are we both New Yorkers, but I was 7 when my dad passed away suddenly. And so I understand like that memory of, just all the people around and then the funeral. It was so difficult to comprehend why my mom couldn't stop crying and that he wasn't going to come back. Like that was just so, and you think about like from a small human, how are they understanding when life is hard?
Yep. Correct. And most little humans, they're going to interpret the world from their viewpoint. Oftentimes, and I specialize with 6 to 10, it's black or white. It's all or nothing. And that's how their brain functions. So for them, it's usually, did I do something wrong? Is it my fault? What could I have done better or different? That is just the default for a child. And I think a lot of adults don't always realize that. So that's usually where their behaviors, where their mindset, where their thinking patterns are coming from. And they're always going to seek safety and security. And in situations like that, where it is chaos, they typically don't have that.
Yeah. And it can be really scary
Very.
because they don't really understand what's happening.
Yep.
And the people that they usually would go to for that meaning making and safety and connection are either not there or unavailable, right?
Yeah.
Because I
Oh, yeah.
definitely feel like I remember like all of these women, it was wonderful. We had great community, but all of these women, I remember them like kind of surrounding my mom, and you just couldn't get through, right? You just couldn't get through the people.
Yeah, I remember my dad's service, and he was very well connected in the Latin community in Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it was a mob scene at his funeral. And I just remember thinking, who are all these people? What is going on here? And they keep talking to you and they're like, hi, my condolences. And I'm like, oh, what does that even mean? Like, what are you talking about? And none of it really made sense.
Yeah.
And it was just, to me, it was just I was more concerned about my mom. I was like, is she going to be okay? Is she going to die too? Like that was my instinct was, oh my God, if he's dead, logically speaking, then she must die too. Parents die now.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, that it's a lot. It's a lot. And I was 11. I had just turned 11 when he passed. And it was just, what is this? And it's hard.
It is. It is.
I got a question. So, on the piggyback of Dr. D's question there, a lot of times when you're a child, you don't have the words to verbalize what it is you're feeling or to speak to your curiosity. What kinds of behaviors might you see in a child that's lost somebody and is questioning mortality?
Yes. So from a clinical lens, I think of things from like mild, moderate, severe. So you might see something as mild as just they might ask a random question, like you're, in the living room, like eating a sandwich, and they're like, how long does it take for a person to die? And you're like, where is going on? It can be like that, or it can be as much as I'm not sleeping, I'm having nightmares, and in those nightmares, my dog dies. In those nightmares, you die, mom. So it could be that. It could be a lot of things for a little child. It could be all of a sudden their grades are down. All of a sudden they have zero interest in hanging out with their friends. Sometimes teachers pick things up. And some kids these days, I feel like a lot of kids will overcompensate. They will do the fawning. They will say, I'm fine, everything's great, everything's awesome. I'm going to overperform. I'm going to be perfect and make everything okay.
Yeah.
And that's probably a little scary because then you think, oh, they're fine, they're good. And if you don't check in, if you're not connected, if you're not really looking at them and seeing your child, you might think, okay, this is great. They've got this. And that's just never an assumption you want to make. And I say from my experience, I genuinely wished I had more people ask.
Yeah.
Now looking back, obviously, my 11-year-old self didn't know how to ask that. Didn't know how to say, hey, hello, hey.
Yeah.
But my adult self, I'm like, wow, if I could go back and talk to her, I would say, are you okay? What do you?
Yeah. What do you need?
Yeah. Where are you at?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah. And being open. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Belize.
Just be open and curious. Curiosity, investigation can be your best friend in any situation. Being open, curious, and like really trying to hold their heart. Yeah. Literally trying to hold them like, okay, I got you to the best of my capability here. And that will lead you to a lot of amazing places.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. I also see that you provide sibling counseling as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm curious to know, with your expertise, would you say that having siblings can ultimately help a child kind of move through that grief in a better way? Or like, what has been your experience in the sibling counseling? I'm just curious.
A range, because sometimes depending on the roles, who takes on what role sibling wise, sometimes you do have support. Sometimes you do have your go-to sibling. Sometimes there's just two kids And sometimes it's helpful, sometimes it's not, because everybody's going through their own grief. And it's going to look different for everybody. Younger siblings may look to older siblings, and sometimes, depending on what's going on, they'll mimic them. But if, let's say, the older sibling is struggling, what if they have ADHD? What if they have anxiety? What if they have, their own stuff going on? And the younger sibling actually is the older sibling.
Mm.
Now there's extra pressure as the little one. Now I got to help my big sister because she can't handle this. So now I got to set that up.
Yep.
Oh man, Beliza, you just called me out, right?
I wasn't trying to, but
I'm the youngest, oldest.
Yep,
I'm the youngest, oldest.
Yep, I've had that. Yep,
Mm.
and it can change and waver as we process grief. And I will tell you, I didn't start processing my dad's death till I was in grad school. I was graduated from grad school. I was obtaining my licensure in community mental health, dealing with a lot of heavy cases. And I was like, I need to see somebody, because I haven't even processed my own grief, and I'm going to be helping other children, other people with their grief. I don't think so. And it wasn't until I was a grown adult, brain was already fully developed, that I was like, this needs to get worked on. And it was a whole new grief process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So grief and challenges with the small humans. Looking at kind of the state of the world now, right? In some ways, there's a collective consciousness of grief and anxiety that's happening, right? So the small humans might be looking at their parents and not really fully understanding why they're struggling, right? There's just all this kind of chaos and uncertainty energy that's in the ether right now. Mm-hmm. And again, as you're talking about the small humans being very concrete, kind of black and white, and also doing that, being egocentric, where everything is kind of, oh, it's my fault, or what am I doing? And so, just kind of, what are your thoughts on not just a specific grief of a loss of, like, say, a parent, but just this kind of navigating where we are right now in this space and time.
Yep. And right now, what I'm working on with some families is the parent skills, the parent being connected to themselves, stable, being able to calm their nervous system and regulate, so that way they can be ready to help their child. Because again, parents put on the armor, they get ready, they go out there, and they're doing it. They're doing it for their family, they're doing it for their kids, they're doing it for themselves. I mean, all the layers. So I've been trying to work with parents on what are your skills? What do you need currently? We can focus on the child, but like when you leave here, life is lifing. So how can you stay as regulated and calm and connected to be able to role model that for your child, and to be able to stay connected to your child? I feel like that's a big ask currently. Yeah. So it's really baby steps with these parents, baby steps. We're practicing deep breathing together. We're practicing progressive muscle relaxation together. We're practicing tapping together. Everybody's in the room right now, because I think this is something that you would all benefit from. And if you don't like it, fine. What are we adding to your skill? What's going in your skills pocket? Because it starts with the parent, and I don't mean to pressure, but if you can do your best, and we're all doing our best, that's really going to make the difference, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Just kind of really that in essence, it's that classic, put the mask on yourself first, right? Yeah. If the parents prioritize caring for themselves, then they're going to have more capacity to not only pour into the small human, but also to model that for them as well. Yeah. Like, what do they need to do to stay safe and stay calm? Mm-hmm.
And I'm also going to add, I think a lot of parents, adults, I do this all the time, we confuse that for, oh, I got to be perfect. Now I have to overcompensate. I have to and it's like, no. You just need to do one thing that's going to work for you. One small thing that's going to work for you. And it's okay. We're going to mess it up. So being able to say, I'm sorry, I'm frustrated. I had a tired day too. I'm overwhelmed too.
Yeah.
So, if let's breathe maybe, or maybe, I'm going to take a quick minute, I'm going to be on this side of the room. I'll be in the kitchen, eyeballing you, let's, and then stay connected and then, re-enter. Because it's not about perfect. It's about just doing your best.
I'm curious to know, what are some signs that, someone may not have processed their grief? Like for someone who may not know what that looks like, can you just kind of take us through what that may
You mean
look
an
like?
adult?
An adult, yes, like a
Got it.
parent. Mhm.
I feel like the biggest thing that I notice, that I observe, see is specific, and it's not always specific things. Their child is constantly triggering them. And sometimes they have no idea why, but like, oh my gosh, like they keep doing this, or oh my gosh, they keep saying that. They haven't finished this, they haven't worked on that. We've been struggling with this all school year. So a lot of times it's the constant re-triggering that their child is on their nerves. Their child isn't listening. Their child, won't do the simplest things. And I'm like, okay, so what else is going on here? What's the behavior behind the behavior? And sometimes parents will say, yeah, I don't feel good. Like, I don't know, like I got hot all of a sudden, or I just feel weird. And sometimes, well, that's your nervous system talking to you. You just don't know it. You just can't make it out yet. So I see that a lot with parents, or sometimes they will engage with their own family and parents, even their siblings. And then they're like, they're triggered then. They're like, oh my God, I saw my mom today. Ugh. And I'm like, so where's grandma? Where does she live? What's going on with grandma? And then sometimes, they'll be able to share, yeah, we're not that close, or, oh yeah, X, Y, or Z happened. I'm like, okay. And then you can start to connect some dots sometimes with them.
Yeah.
What's the behavior behind the behavior?
The behavior. We will see, and I feel like we talked about this last time, we see one thing, sometimes two, but oftentimes there's something more, there's something deeper behind that. So a child can be angry, anxious, confused, but there's fear behind that. There's shame behind that. There's embarrassment, from when they were 5 and they had to go to OT or speech therapy and they hated it.
Yeah.
And now, here we are. That's just one light example.
Yeah. I love that, the behavior behind the behavior. And it kind of brings back to when Mona asked about siblings. How do you, because it sounds like you obviously work with the entire family. How do you navigate when you see a family dynamic where perhaps there is very, very very clear inequitable treatment of said siblings? There is a golden child. There is a black sheep. Right? Like, how do you work with the family to maybe, I don't know, change those perspectives or level that playing field, or I'm just, yeah.
So I don't do like family therapy. So I never want to, lie about what I do or don't do, but I do let, when I have a deep enough relationship with the family, specifically the identified client and the parent, if both parents are not alternating, bringing their child, doing the check-ins, check-outs, being in the sessions when applicable. And I usually really work on that relationship first, because once they know that I'm safe with Beliza has my back, Beliza really is here to support and not judge, it's easier for them to receive feedback. It's easier for them to be able to listen and be like, let me chew on that. When I say, I notice that when Billy or, whoever took the pirate's booty, that was okay. But when Shauna came to get it, she couldn't have it. So, and that's happened like a couple times. So I'm curious what's behind that. Again, the behavior behind the behavior. And usually, because we have a good connection, they'll sit on it. They'll chew and they'll be like, I don't know. And I might get a text later on in the week before the next session, or at the session, they'll say, Belize, I thought about last time. And I noticed that too. Or I noticed that like she gets on my nerves a little bit more than he does. And I'm like, yeah. Can we explore that? Is that something that you want to look more into? Because there might be something there that could help us. So I try to be as honest with them, clear with them, and again, investigative. Like, let's explore and investigate this. Not from the space of like judgment, not from the space that something is wrong. It's how can this information help us? How can this help us make this better? So usually baby steps. I'm all about the baby steps. I'm all about the baby steps. Unless a parent comes in and they're like, I know what I'm doing this wrong. I've been to therapy or I'm in therapy, and these are the things I know I need to work on as a parent and as a mom and as a female and as a dad and all of that. And I'm like, well, okay, let's dive in. But that doesn't always happen.
Yeah. But I love that, the orientation of like kind of, I guess, staying in a season of curiosity, right? Like just really kind of always just in a non-judgmental way, just like, hey, I see this.
Yep.
Tell me.
I feel, I notice, I observe,
I'm
curious about. I kind of got this in my own body. I'm wondering what came up in your body. Things like that. Because those are all the skills I'm teaching them in therapy. So it's like, oh yeah, that we talked about that.
Awesome. Excellent. So the skills, like I love that you talked about the skills that you teach them in therapy. Tell me about the cards, your new cards. When you were here last time, you were still in development, right?
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I know it's been a journey. So tell us about the journey and how do the cards relate to like either that season of curiosity or that skill building? Tell us a little bit more there.
Okay, so I'll start with the cards, their purpose. So really their purpose has been to get families using open-ended, really kind of deeper questions to get them talking and connecting. So it isn't just about how was your day? How are you? How is that math test? Are you ready to go to your grandma's house or karate? It's who made you smile today? What frustrated you today? Even family questions. What do you think makes a family feel closer? What do I do that frustrates you? So a lot of these questions are really meant to get us listening, understanding, and being curious. So that's really the origin of the cards. I have a lot of parents who they struggle. They'd have no idea what to say, what to ask, how to ask it, when to ask it. It's really, really difficult. And so that's where the cards kind of birthed. It was just like I would give them this information all the time. I'm like, say this, say that. It would be on the board. I would text them that. I would, verbally. So I said, why not have this in one spot? One spot for everybody, like a game, and they can use it at their leisure, pocket size. So that's where that came from. And yeah, really just to help them get closer and have it be fun and have it be non-defensive and have it be inviting.
Well, that sounds wonderful.
And actually, I didn't remember. I think there's 3 of you, or is there 4 of you?
There are 4 of us.
Got it.
Yes.
Well, you will each get a box. I'm going to be mailing them out to you. So these are them.
Hey.
You will each get a box.
Thank you.
And I'm also going to be sending you I'm going to see what fits in the envelope because I'm still learning that process. A couple of extra boxes. So that way, if you have somebody that you know who would benefit from them, somebody who, really needs them, a family, a parent. So that way we're spreading this love and that they can get some resources and support that doesn't always require a payment. when possible.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you having me on again. That was really kind of you.
Well, we love talking to you, and you're so knowledgeable. And we don't work directly with the small humans. We work with the parents, but we also see that dynamic in this space. I've actually given challenge work to some of my parent clients to go back and watch your episode
Awesome.
before. So in
Love that.
terms of
Thank
like,
you.
yeah, to kind of get some of that awareness of how their dynamic between them and their child is showing up in these other ways. And like you said, right now everything is, it's a challenging time, right? We have a lot of clients who are with not only, obviously, we're an LGBTQ owned practice, but we have clients who are in the federal government. We have clients that are really being shaken up by things that are happening, and so those parents are really, I had a parent tell me it's like their children are single digit children, and they're like, I just go in and I try to keep the mask on and keep the face on and try to make dinner and act like everything's okay, but inside I'm crumbling because I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow with the roof over our head. And so yeah.
Yep, that's really, really hard. And again, it's so easy. The default is I'm going to smile for my child. I'm going to just make it okay. And it's hard because sometimes you can't. And like I try to encourage parents that that's okay. Like that has to be okay because that's what it is. That's what it is right now. So yeah, it's really, really important that they're able to like help themselves as best they can, because even just smiling and putting on the mask is really, really hard. That's exhausting. It's exhausting for a parent or parents.
Yeah. And I
Mm.
think that fear might be, if I break down in front of them, then they're going to get scared. But
Yes.
actually, I think it's the opposite. I
Very.
think if they break down in front of them, they're showing and modeling resilience,
Yep.
and that life can be difficult, and you can bounce back, you can come back, you can
Yes.
care for yourself, you can give yourself grace. I feel like that's, I don't know. What do you guys think? Jacinta, Mona?
I think it's absolutely going to be about giving yourself grace. You have to allow yourself to feel what you're feeling, and to explore it. Like you always say, lean in, be curious. If you question what you're feeling, you're going to be able to get a deeper understanding.
Yes.
If you feel it and avoid it, you're going to be dealing with it for a long time.
Yep. And it's going to come out real bad. It's
Yeah.
going to be full force.
Yeah.
It's going to come out cute. It's not going to come out
It's going to be
sweet.
very negative.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And I think that it's just so common for parents to think like, I can't break down because they shouldn't see that, or they can't see that. They shoulda, coulda, wouldas. And I'm like, you'll be surprised how, if you can say, yeah, I'm having a moment. I need a minute. I don't have it right now, but I'm here and I'll hold your hand while I'm crying, while I am figuring out, while we're figuring it out. Because that is connection in all the moments. Yeah.
And it's making the kids a part of the healing process.
Yeah.
And it's strengthening the family.
Yep. And you'll be surprised how many kids, once a parent's like, oh my God, I can't do this, and they start breaking down and they're crying, or they're just overwhelmed. The kid will say, me too. Me too. And then it just is a moment where it's like, oh my gosh, like this is not a bad thing. Like they needed to see that because then they know I'm not alone. Yeah. It's a relief. It's like, oh my gosh, mommy gets it too. Like we have been like, this is real. It's like, yes, it is real. And it's really, really hard. But we have each other. There's hope in that. There's love in that.
Absolutely.
And there are some of the questions are just for the parents. I have 5 bonus parent questions that are specifically for parents. to get them a little bit more engaged with themselves. So like one of them is, when was the last time you heard your child without speaking, or trying to problem solve? So their homework is listening to their child for 1 minute. So for 1 minute, you stay quiet and just listen. Just listen. So those are prompts for the parents to really start to give them at least a little seed, a little skill that could be helpful.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. And to kind of stay on the topic of the grace part, I think also too what is connected to that is the compassion piece for themselves, for the child, other family members, right? Seeing how to create space for that and non-judgment of what comes up, which is the hard part.
So hard.
Yeah.
So hard. I think sometimes we mistake I care about you with judgment. It's like, I love you, so I'm going to tell you everything that's wrong with you to help you.
Right.
When most humans in general, unless it's presented in a compassionate way, and unless it's presented in kind of a loving but firm way, that message is not received. All we are hearing and feeling and thinking is judgment. Judge. She judgy. And I'm one that I'm in recovery. I used to be perfect Paula, like everything has to be perfect. What's wrong with you? What you pick. And I'm like, that's just, there's nothing good there.
Yeah.
Nothing good there, because there's no such thing as perfect. It's process. And all the judging and picking in the world is not going to fix things. It's just not. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes, that's very powerful insight. Yes. So, Jacinta, Mona, you guys have any other additional questions?
I am curious as to what are some of your favorite books?
Ooh, just in general right now for my kids?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a good, actually, she just sent some stuff out to parents. So there is a book that actually a peer of mine gave to me. It's called Decora. So it means it's a slang word from Puerto Rico. So it's for little kids who maybe don't live in their native home, but it helps them to still be proud, to still be part of that culture, to still be able to, if they're not bilingual, still be proud of, what they do carry, from their culture. So that's one of my favorite books. I actually just bought them for two of my clients who they were struggling with feeling, left out. They don't feel like they're different. They're not like the others. And I'm like, well, yeah, and that's okay. You're wonderful and beautiful as you are. So that's one. Oh, what's the other one? It's a good day to have a good day, or I'm gonna have a good day. She is a little beautiful Black girl. I actually follow her Instagram, Scarlett something. So her and her mom made a book, and that's a good one. I think it's a good day. I'm gonna have a good day. Super cute, super simple, but it's about finding the good in all the moments. Like doing my best. I'm cranky, but like, how can I bring it back? How can I bounce back? God, there's another one, and I can't think. I'm just looking. I can see it, but I can't think of the name. So I'm trying to have more of a diverse book collection in my office for all kids to see, so that they can see themselves in an array of those books.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And if I can remember, I'll send it to Dr. Deb, because now I'm gonna think about that for a minute. There's two others I actually just got. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Beliza, working with such young, small humans, right? So there was this kind of viral social media, I don't know if it was TikTok or whatever, but there was this therapist, and she got like she made this post saying, we don't have a mental health crisis, that basically therapy is like now to make kind of give everybody like a get out of jail free card, or basically like we just like it's just to make things easy. Like it's actually preventing people from actually handling hard things, and so people using words like, oh, I'm triggered, or I need a mental health day, or things like that, as some sort of cop out, right? As some sort of like, you know how like that they have the about the everybody gets a participation trophy. So like,
Yes.
oh, you know, this kind of like, oh, therapy is like only for people who want a soft life.
Or
And
something.
and so I have some thoughts on that post.
So I don't know if it's the same person, but I have seen a couple of different, and they're therapists, kind of
Yeah.
like talking about an angle of that or a piece of that. And like my initial thoughts were always, you know, as a therapist, and I've done the work, I've seen a couple different therapists in my life, and I'm probably gonna go back soon. I see the actual benefit and the healing and the processing of things that really I needed to find a space for and a place for to help me propel forward to get here.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't be here. I would not be here functioning, really trying to thrive, help others thrive, you know, come up with this product alone. That wouldn't have happened if I didn't heal and really have therapy. But, you know, these days there's just so much out there. Everybody's got something to say. Everybody has an opinion. And we all have one. But I just think that if you haven't done the work, if you haven't been to therapy yourself, and to be fair, sometimes it is like dating, you know, it takes a minute to find the right therapist. Or sometimes I dated you for a year, that was great, but now I need to work on this other thing. So I need to find another therapist. That's part of the process, but I think that a lot of people don't understand that. You know, all of the stuff that is out there about therapy, there's more out there now. I think we're getting a better platform, but there's also still a lot of stigma, you know, in a lot of communities. I know in my Hispanic community, it's still very much, you know, you don't need that you're fine, you'll be okay. And that is not always the truth.
Yeah, yeah, I agree, because life is really difficult and people face really difficult, hard things in life. And therapy is not put a band-aid on that pain and just here, just get more sleep and exercise and whatever, and then everything will be okay, and just push down your feelings and be happy. That is actually the farthest from the truth about the hard work that we actually do when we sit in that space with the clients who are really, really suffering. Right? And so to help them not only gain that awareness of the origins and the activations in that pain, but to accept, okay, this is where I am and this is what's happening for me. And then teaching them actual real skills to develop resilience and enhance the resilience that they have naturally by taking appropriate actions. Absolutely. So the idea that we're just kind of like, you know, this minimization of our hard work is really
it's frustrating. It is so
absolutely.
It's scary when you think about it, because if you're coming from that point of view, then when you see a client that is guarded, not wanting to come forth and say what the actual problem is, and you're thinking that, you know, maybe there isn't really a problem, then what are you doing for this client? How are you helping? And then not only that, but our work isn't just about pain and mental anguish. There are clients that come to see us because they are trying to figure out, how do I grow from this place to this place? Not because I'm hurting or not because I've lost something, but I'm trying to maintain a lifestyle.
Yeah.
You know, so how do you help a client that is not necessarily hurting or not hurting from a standpoint that you can see, because it's not depression, it's not anxiety, it's not any of the severe mental illnesses. So now you're just saying that there's no crisis, there's nothing really wrong.
Yeah. when you think about it, everybody has different levels of things going on.
Yeah.
Different
And,
levels, different times.
and we can go through the exact same event and I process it as a trauma and you process it as I'm fine, everything's okay.
Yep. And that's where siblings come in. I believe that was asked earlier.
Mona, yeah.
Sometimes one sibling will process it and they're going to be all right, or they figure it out, or maybe their grief comes up 5 years later.
Mm-hmm.
And the little one's like, I'm a hot mess. Like,
Yeah.
I need help me. It's complicated.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
a good
really
point, though.
scary.
It is really scary. And you're right. I work with a lot of mild to moderate, situations, concerns, anger, anxiety, giftedness. I used to do more of the severe, but, I was kind of ready to pivot. And I know that there have been a lot of people over the years who the assumption is, oh, wow, you work with kids. It's really, like you said, it's really bad. I'm like, well, I have some kids who they're terrible test takers, and being on the honor roll is really important to them.
Mm-hmm.
And, they work really hard. And if it wasn't for the anxiety, they would be on that honor roll.
Yeah.
They would feel really, really good about themselves. And I swear, I see the game changers in these kids. Like, I'm like, oh, you're gonna change the world. You're gonna change your corner of the world. And now that you have a skill set, now that you have tools, I'm like, yes, fly, go fly,
Yes.
fly.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
There are also, when I think about the state of the world where we're living today, we've got so many parents who are getting up, going to work today and afraid that they might not have work tomorrow. And they're carrying that fear and that anxiety through their everyday. And their kids are going to feed off of that fear and anxiety, right?
Yep.
So
And they're
now,
on the same role.
yeah, how are you going to tell them that there's no crisis?
Yep. Or how are you going to tell them, oh, it's going to be okay? We don't know it's going to be okay sometimes.
Yeah.
Which is why we just got to sit and be with each other and connect and breathe and read a book and go for a bike ride, just stand outside in the sun for a minute, depending where you are. I mean, it's all the things.
Yeah.
All the things. And what's going to help us in our current day.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we usually, we asked this question last time. It may be the same answer from before, but the question we ask all the guests are, what are your best hopes for the future of our field, right? What would you wish for the future geeky clinicians?
Ooh, I'm gonna cry. Whew. This is a good question at a good time. I would say that we do the things that help us to keep being a vessel for our people. For the clients who need us, for the clients who value what we do, that we take care of ourselves. Because what we do matters. What we do is so important. What we do is literally life-changing.
Yes, it is.
And we cannot do that if our vessel is empty, cracked, or literally the bottom is out. So I really want my other clinicians out there to really, really love yourself. Be proud of yourself, because what we do, this is not for everybody. Not everybody can do what we do.
Yeah.
So I love you all. I'm so proud of you all. Keep doing the work and take care of yourself.
Yes.
Take care of yourself.
Oh, thank you so much, Beliza. Thank you for your words. Thank you for your time. Thank you for being with us here again.
I appreciate you ladies so much.
We appreciate you too. Oh, thank you. So for our viewers, as always, please like and subscribe and share so that this channel can continue to grow and we can share it amongst all the other geeky clinicians out there that haven't even recognized that they're geeky clinicians yet.
Yes.
We can spread this word. So thank you. And we will see you guys next time.
Oh yeah. Bye. Thank you.
Bye.